Today, I like to go over step by step how to use the layout grid or the ListView control in FirePower and use the WYSIWYG features and use some of the new features in Update 1. So let's go ahead and create a new project, and you'll be able to see all the steps that we do. A multi-device application. We'll create a blank app. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to drop in a mem table, FireDAC mem table, and we're going to go ahead and load some data into it. So let's load it from a file, and inside the main demos directory there's going to be some data you can load. In this example we're going to load the cars FD. There's also cars Midas if you're using a Midas mem table, but in this case we're using FireDAC, so we'll open up this one. Now we have that. We also want to right click it and we want to add a bind source, and that's necessary in order to use it with FirePower controls. So now let's go ahead and drop in the layout grid, and we'll go ahead and drop it in here, and we'll make it aligned to the client. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to assign the data source for this to the one we just created, and we're going to now be able to put controls in here. So let's go ahead and drop in a TwwLayoutGrid image control into this layout grid. Now you'll see it's over there. We're now going to bind it to one of the things in our data set. So let's make this a little larger so you can see where I'm going to bind. And we're going to bind the data of the image control to the graphic portion. So that's, where is the graphic portion? Maybe it's down below. There's picture. I think that's the one we want. And there it is. Now we can see that. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to drop in some T layouts so that we can organize the controls that are on the layout grid. So let's drop in one here and align that to the client. That'll fill in the rest of the space. Now let's drop a second one in, and this will be for our text controls that are going to be on the top. So we want to align this to the top. Now let's drop in 3 labels. So drop one in here, and drop another one in here, and drop a third one in here. So the first one we're going to go ahead and align to the left. The second one will align to the right. And the last one will align it to the client, the remaining portion of it. And now we have 3 labels, but let's actually make them tied to the database now. So label 1, let's have that display the type of car, so trademark. And let's have label 2, let's make that the model. Actually, let's make label 3 the model. So label 3 the model. And label 2, we'll go ahead and refix that. Let's remove that link. We'll make label 2 the category. So that's, yeah, there it is. Okay, now you have 3 labels. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to drop in a memo field. So let's go ahead and drop it in. Like, we can use a label for that too. Let's just drop in a label. And that's going to be aligned to the top again. And let's bind that to the description. Okay, good. And the last thing we're going to do is we're going to drop in some buttons. And we'll drop in another layout actually to show it on the bottom. Put it on the bottom. And we'll align this to the bottom. And we'll put a button inside there, a TW button. This is a new control. Now we'd like to make this button text more dynamic. So let's go ahead and bind the text portion of this button. We're going to bind it to the category field, but we don't want to display just a category like saloon. That's not very obvious that it's a clickable button. So we're going to change the format, and we're going to have it in my clipboard now. We're going to say visit and then saloon. So once I change this, now you'll see that it has the word visit in front of it. This is a really nice feature of FireMonkey's dynamic binding. So now we have a button, and this text is going to be dynamic depending on the field, but there's going to be a caption in front of that. Now before changing some of the other properties, I want to go ahead and enable the WYSIWYG capabilities, which is really cool feature. Now you notice that now I'm actually seeing the data for more than just one record, instead of just the active record. So let's go ahead and now manipulate the button. And this button has a colors property because it's the FirePower button. And let me change the color to dark slate gray. Or dark slate gray. Now you notice that the button color has changed. I can resize it. Notice that the other controls in here resize as well. Let me go ahead and change the text attributes so it's a little bit easier to read. I'll change the font to, let's say, white font. So white down here. And now we can see that the button's much easier to read. And also want to make this top label here a little more impactful. So let's go ahead and change the font of the top label. Let's change the size. So I go into the font. I'll change the size. So let's say it's like 18 point. Now it's larger. And let me go ahead and align it to the center. Horizontal alignment now will be centering. And let me go ahead and make it boldface. Now it's boldface. And you can also change the color, but we'll leave it out like this for now. But the next thing we want to do is we want to put a background image on this list view. Okay. To put a background image, we need to drop in a TWW image control into the form. So let me escape out of the control, and now I have the form selected. Now let me type in TWW image. And there is a control. We'll double click on it, and we'll move it over to the top right just to get out of the way of the rest of the stuff. I'm going to go ahead and select its bitmap property and do edit, and we'll do load. And inside here, then under the FirePower 10 directory, there's images and backgrounds. We're going to select the one with the car. And we'll hit OK. And now we'll go ahead and then select the layout grid, and we'll assign its image control property to the image control we just dropped in. And now notice that you have the background showing in here. Of course, the text is kind of hard to read because we have a dark image and black text. So let me go fix that right now. So let's go to the override style attributes property, and we're going to change the font color to white. We also want to change the labels on here. We'll multi-select them. And we'll change the font on those to white as well. And this label here to white. Let's see. Missed that one. Now they're all white. There's just a couple of other property settings I want to change so it matches the FirePower 10 Update 1 demo. And let's go ahead and remove the indicator inside this grid. So let's go to Options. There should be something called DG or CGO indicator. I will turn that to false. And I also want to enable read only to true. Now I want to add a right icon to this. So let me go ahead and click on the right icon and make it an accessory icon. Now everything shifts over, and now there's room for an icon on the right hand side. If you want to put some code in there, you can use the on right icon click event that's over here. We're not going to do that right now. We're going to go ahead and run the demo. Let's go ahead and run it under Windows. And then we'll run it under iOS after that. So under Windows, you can see I can scroll through the records. You can use the up-down arrows. It doesn't quite look like it's going to look on a mobile space. The mobile space will look a lot slicker because the scrolling will be smooth. So let's show you how it looks under iOS. Okay, here we have the demo now running on an iPad. Let me go ahead and start scrolling through the data and know that it's very smooth scrolling. The background stays locked in place. There's a few other things I might want to fix on this demo in terms of the alignment. I have the button not quite centered on the screen. I would have to go back in design time and just kind of change the alignment properties of those buttons. But that's a simple thing you guys can probably figure out. So don't have any code attached to this demo. So what I might want to do is when I right click on the accessory icon on the right, bring up another tab page and show like a record view so you can see and edit all the data. But those are just exercises that are quite simple to do with FirePower components. So that concludes our tutorial on the layout grid or list view for those who are familiar with the Delphi and list view. All right, thanks guys.